Welcome to the video. This time, we're going through everything Fatality 2026 can do. It splits into 4 chapters, and we'll take them one at a time. Let's get into it. Rage is the most direct route in Fatality. Unlike Legit, which tries to pass as a normal player, Rage steers the bullet straight at the enemy the moment you pull the trigger. The panel's been rearranged into 6 groups, and it's a lot clearer than before. Weapon sets the bar. Accuracy handles landing the shot, then the aimbot core and the overrides in the middle, with anti-aim and the extra tools off to the side. We'll go through those 6 in order. This group is the bar before it fires who to lock, and how sure it has to be to shoot. Target selection decides who it goes for. By default, the highest damage target, but you can switch it to best hit chance, or closest to your crosshair. Hit chance is the first gate not confident enough. It doesn't take the shot. Min damage is the second gate, and is straightforward. Set it to 100, and it only takes heads. It can one-tap, it won't chip away at arms or legs. Hitboxes picks where it locks tick only the head, and it never aims at the body. Multipoint scans a few extra points on that part, so when the enemy's jittering or only half exposed it still lands the lock. In CS, shooting while you move blows your spread wide open, so this whole group is about nailing the exact instant of the shot. Auto-stop cuts your movement right before you fire, killing the spread from walking before the bullet leaves. Auto-scope makes sure snipers are scoped in when the shot goes out, because that's the only way they're accurate. Delay shot doesn't rush it. It holds for a better window before firing. The R8 has a long wind-up if you don't pre-cock it. Auto-revolver works the hammer for you, so it can fire instantly. This is the aimbot's main engine. Silent aim is the core. A normal aimbot snaps your crosshair onto the enemy's head, but silent aim never moves it. Your crosshair stays put, and the bullets already hit them. That's also why it's dangerous in official matchmaking. It's an easy ban. Maximum FOV is the aimbot's range. Crank it to 180 and it locks anything in view. Drop it to 1 and it only takes the dead center of your crosshair, so it isn't grabbing targets all over the screen. Penetration lets the bullet punch through walls it can pass through. Autofire pulls the trigger for you the moment every condition is met. These 2 are the hard tools for breaking high wall opponents in HVH. No spread strips the weapon's spread penalty, so bullets stop scattering, you hit exactly where you aim, and it only works in HVH. Double tap exploits a game mechanic to fire 2 bullets per trigger pull, instant double damage. A duel comes down to whoever lands enough damage first, and stacking these 2 is how you grab that first move. This group temporarily overrides the rules you set earlier. The hitbox, hit chance, and damage thresholds from the weapon group can all be manually overridden here as the fight demands. Force head aim and force body aim are one or the other. Head is the gamble for a one-shot kill, body is the steadier hit. Force lethal in air is for when you jump. It only takes the shot if it'll one-tap them, so you don't waste a non-lethal shot mid-air. Force shoot ignores every hit chance and damage gate. It's for those awkward wallbang points where the normal hit chance math would never pull the trigger. You want it to shoot, it shoots. These are usually bound to keys and flip mid-fight. Everything so far has been about hitting the enemy. This group flips it, making yourself harder to hit. First, straight up, there's no fake body in CS2, so anti-aim really just comes down to hiding your head. And since HVH is mostly point blank, its value is limited. Still, the defensive half is worth a pass. Hide shot is the key one. Normally firing lifts your head up and exposes it, and hide shot keeps your head down as the shot goes out. The cost is it slows your shot a touch, so it's a trade-off. You weigh yourself. Pitch and yaw twist which way your model faces, so the enemy can't pin down exactly where your head is. Yaw jitter snaps that facing left and right, so they can't settle a lock on your head. Spin controls how fast spin type anti-aim turns. Auto anti-aim turns your model for you. This group hands the facing back to you. Custom yaw sets a fixed offset, so your facing leans steadily to one side. Auto hide head doesn't always hide cleanly and can leave your head exposed. That's when you go manual with the mouse. In the heat of the duel, a flick shifts your facing left or right on the spot. Manual keys work the same way. Bind a few to flip front, back, left, right, and that's the more common approach. The whole point is to break the opponent's red. He thinks you're left, you snap right. The players who win do it with this manual back and forth, not by handing the facing entirely to the program. Last up are two close-range fallbacks. Knifebot only triggers at point blank, so you skip aiming and clicking in a melee scramble. Zeusbot is close range too, and the taser has a bit of reach. It whiffed a lot on older builds, and this update says it's patched as far as possible. Try it yourself in a real game. And that's the Rage Chapter 6 groups done. That's the whole aggressive route. The legit tab runs on the same skeleton as Rage, the same 4 blocks. Aim, trigger, backtrack, recoil control. The only difference is, it has to look like a real player is shooting, instead of snapping and one-tapping. This time, it also lets you set each weapon up separately, plus a group of master switches. We'll follow it the same way. What does a single bullet have to clear? And go through the whole tab in order. This left column splits by weapon class: heavy pistols, rifles, snipers, SMGs, shotguns, LMGs, and each one gets its own set of legit settings. General up top is the fallback. Any gun you didn't set up separately runs on these defaults. Rifles and snipers play completely differently, so setting them up apart is the only way to give each gun its own performance. Turn on aim assist and you get the aimbot everyone pictures. You set an FOV circle, and when an enemy and the hitbox you want land inside it, it pulls your aim over for you. Legit has 2 modes here. Adaptive follows your mouse. If your mouse isn't moving, it won't aim even with the head sitting in the circle. It only gives you a correction while you're already dragging onto the target, which feels more human, more like real play. Lock is the blunt one. A head enters the circle, and it follows automatically, whether your mouse moves or not. Hitboxes decides where it locks tick the head, and it only aims at the head. It won't go for the body. Multi-point works just like it does in Rage. It scans a few extra points around the base hit point to land more of your quick shots. Min damage is a gate. If a shot won't reach that damage, it won't aim there. Set it high, and it basically only takes heads. Aim FOV is the size of that circle. 0 to 30 degrees turn it up, and a big chunk of your view gets aim assist. Turn it down, and it's one small circle in the center. Aim speed controls how fast the crosshair pulls toward the target. That's the smoothing. Slow and smooth looks like a real player dragging onto the shot. Fast looks robotic. Only in scope is exactly what it sounds like. Aim assist only works while you're scoped in. Autostop is about accuracy. It stops your feet before you fire, because in CS moving while you shoot blows your spread wide open, and you only land the shot once you've settled. Note, this is the legit version of autostop. It's a different thing from the Rage one. Triggerbot fires for you the instant your crosshair sweeps onto an enemy. Hit chance is a percentage gate. It only pulls the trigger once that hit probability is met. Min damage is the same idea. If the shot won't reach the damage you set, it doesn't fire. That's the whole trigger skeleton, these 3. Use seed leans on the server seed to predict spread, so when it's available, it can still send the bullet out in cases like jump throws or shooting without a hard stop. But in real games, this doesn't work great. Don't count on it. Reaction time defaults to instant, no delay. You can add some to mimic a human reaction in an earlier version. Adding any delay made the trigger basically whiff, but the author hasn't tested the new version, so it's unclear whether that's still the case. Wait for hitbox pairs with the damage gate. Say you want the head, but your crosshair passes the arm or stomach where the damage is also enough. Without this on, it fires early into whatever part it crosses. With it on, it waits patiently until aim assist locks the hitbox you actually wanted, then pulls. This group also has an only in scope, same name and same meaning as the aim one, just keeping the trigger to scoped shots. Backtrack uses the server's lag compensation. A player running from A to C passes through B on the way, and the whole thing happens in an instant. Set backtrack to say 200 milliseconds, and even though he's already at C on your screen, you can fire at where he was back at B and still land it. It's like stretching the hit registration window back a notch. RCS is automatic recoil control. Recoil control is the master switch. Speed decides how hard it pulls down. Max it out and it basically pins the gun to a single point. Drop it low and it's barely doing anything. Recenter is a switch worth understanding. Off, the compensation drags down from wherever your crosshair currently sits, and after a full mag, your crosshair is buried in the floor. On, it keeps your crosshair steady at its original spot. Start bullet is which round it begins compensating on. by default, it starts on the first. But on some guns, like the AK, if you're going for a human look, you'll push it back to the third or fourth bullet before it kicks in. Last is General. Enabled is the master switch for the whole legit tab. Disablers let you switch legit off in specific situations in smoke while flashed mid-air, so it won't trigger aim and trigger in those states and fire off a reaction you shouldn't be making while blind. Penetration lets legit features, like the trigger, work through a wall. Visualize FOV draws that aim circle on your screen so you can see the range. The last one, Auto Revolver, takes over control of the R8 revolver. The menu doesn't go into specifics beyond that. And that's really all there is to the legit tab: aim, trigger, backtrack, recoil control, plus these few switches. MISC is where movement, grenades, auto buy, matchmaking, menu, hit feedback, and logs all get thrown together. In HVH, the kill still comes down to landing the shot, but once you've got these dialed in, they save you time, keep you alive, and make reviewing easy. This chapter just walks through all 7 groups in order. Top left is movement. First, bunny hop on its own. This one is a legit bunny hop. Just hold jump. Jump bug kicks in when a landing would hurt you and cancels that fall damage. Below that is no land inaccuracy. Normally your crosshair flares a bit when you touch down. Turn this on and it strips that landing spread. Duck jump just ducks for you automatically as you jump. This row handles step jumps and bop acceleration. Edge jump is for hopping platforms and steps for distances you couldn't normally reach. It adds an extra jump right at the object's edge, so you go further. Easy strafe is a funny translation. As shown in the last video, it's really a strafe direction override for bop off. You hold A then D, and you still go A's way. On, the later D overrides the A. The one that actually handles B-hop axle is auto strafer. The little gear on the left sets turn angle and axle cap, split into turning by view, turning by movement keys, and the strafe on jump release. These two are about slowing down and stopping. Slow walk lets you control your own speed, different from shift walk, which is a fixed pace. With slow walk, you can dial it. It has a big effect on spread. Walking and shooting normally there's spread, hold slow walk and it basically goes away. There's also a standalone quick stop. The moment you release the key, it stops you fast, paired with firing while stationary. Peak assist is one I find great whether you're in HVH or official matchmaking. Turn it on, and it draws a circle at your current spot as an anchor. You hold peak to lean out from the corner, and the moment you fire it, snaps you back. The upside is, when there's several of them out there, you peek one shot and you're already back, so the backline can't catch you. Hard peek out and manually pull back, and your timing gets red and you get killed. Duck peek assist isn't quite the same as fake duck. It lets you stay crouched and hit someone you normally have to stand up to reach. Say you're crouched in a fake duck spot under a platform and an enemy comes out above you manually, you can't hit him while ducked. With this on, the instant he peeks you snap up, kill him, and duck back down. A handful of spots will want it. The grenade section got a fair bit of work. Automatic release, going by the menu description, it throws the grenade for you automatically when you take damage. Straight throw, adjust your view so the grenade flies in a straight line, and it stays truer while you move or jump. Quick switch just swaps back to your previous weapon automatically after the throw. Auto buy is mainly for community servers. You basically won't need it in official matchmaking. Turn it on, and it buys your guns and gear in full. Once the buy phase opens, does what it says. Below, you just set your primary, secondary, armor, utility, and extra equipment like the defuse kit. The matchmaking group controls how you get into official matches. First is untrusted features. Leave it off, and the orange items on the rage page, the ones the server can detect, won't work. Silent aim, double tap, hide shot, anti-aim, all locked. Basically, it's a risk warning. If you're worried about a ban, don't touch those. Auto accept accepts the match for you when one pops, with an adjustable delay, so you can go do something else, and the game's accepted by the time you're back. Matchmaking region locks the servers we usually lock to a nearby region. The menu group adjusts the interface itself. Theme changes the menu's color scheme. This one's the Halloween theme. DPI scale sizes the interface. I usually run mine at 150, which is crisp for screenshots and comfortable, but go with whatever suits you. Hit effects is just 2. Hit sound plays a sound when you hit an enemy, sounds good, and gives solid feedback. Hit marker draws a little cross on the enemy where your shot landed, telling you where you hit. Both are small hit feedback touches. Last is logs, which look a lot nicer this time, none of that small, ugly, old style. Damage log, hurt log, and purchase log all do what they say. The one to note is the miss shot log. When an aimbot shot misses, it tells you why and lists the specific reason, which is handy when you're reviewing, and it wasn't here before. That's it for the MISC chapter, all 7 groups done. Visuals is the chapter for everything you see on screen. Overlays, ESP, chams, your view, the environment. 4 tabs run across the top. Local, enemy, team, and world. Local is what you see in first and third person. Enemy and world are exactly what they sound like. I'm skipping team outright. Its options are basically a one-to-one copy of the enemy tab, so covering one is enough. This chapter focuses on dialing local uncomfortably and reading info off the enemy. Local's overlays are a set of small draws that genuinely help in a fight. Grenade prediction works out the arc, so you can see where a nade is going to land before it does. Penetration crosshair changes color when your crosshair is on a thin wall or door you can shoot through, telling you whether the round will punch through thick walls. Don't change it. Spread draws your current accuracy circle around the crosshair. It blows out wide when you jump and tightens back up when you stand still, so you can see at a glance how accurate you are right now. Bullet tracer draws the path of the rounds you fire, purely cosmetic. Show impacts highlights where your bullets land, and it splits into local and server. In a bot lobby, the 2 dots overlap, but in a real game with latency, the local hit and the server hit drift apart. Those were draws. These next ones handle the crosshair and your status readouts. Scope overlay now has to be switched on first before it strips that black ring around the scope and draws lines instead. And the little gear next to it folds in the crosshair lines and gap spacing too nicer to look at than last time. The matching force crosshair handles AWPs and scouts. Those guns show no crosshair unscoped by default, and with this on, you get the game's native crosshair drawn even when you're not scoped. Then, 2 indicator sets. Screen indicators sit along the edge of your screen and lay out the states you check most, like fake angle and DT. Crosshair indicators sit around the crosshair and tell you which features are on. For the view, third person gets the most use. Peeking and dueling mostly run off it, and few people play pure first person. FOV override is common too. The default field of view is on the narrow side, so HVH usually cranks it up. Official matchmaking does the opposite and drops it, because a narrower FOV makes the same angle look bigger on screen and easier to hit. View model override sets where your arms and guns sit, left, up, wherever you like. Aspect ratio stretches the image and can pull off all kinds of cursed visuals. Free cam sounds like a spectator view with the gun pointed forward and the camera free to look around, but the author tested it last time and it isn't implemented yet, just a promise on paper. Removals handles your first-person distractions. Smoke, flash, recoil, shake and spread 2 anything that blocks your view or throws off your aim. Gone in 1 toggle. 2 more. Remove overhead ID takes the name floating over your own head off. Disable cloth simulation kills the clothing physics, purely for frames. These HUD ones handle your interface readouts. Radar, once on, shows enemies on your in-game radar. The stock radar doesn't see through. Preserve kill feed keeps your own kill entries in the top right visible a bit longer. Scoreboard items adds economy and what guns the other team bought to the tab list. In Windows, bomb timer is the C4 countdown, and spectator list is who's watching you. Team damage stats aren't built yet, another promise on paper. Chams split into 2 layers. Model is your whole body, only visible in third person, and it splits into visible and hidden 2 materials for through wall and not through wall. The attachments material chams the gear on you separately. View model is the chams on your arms and gun in first person, and it tunes the same way by case. There's also hide view model in scope, with FOV cranked way up and the scope's black ring removed. You'll see your own arms and gun blocking your view. Turn this on, and scoping and hides them both. Local glow is third person only as well. Ragdolls customizes the ragdoll you leave after you die, just a passing mention. Switch to the enemy tab, and ESP just marks out all the info on the enemy. Name, box, and health cover the basic outline and how much HP they have. Item name and item icon tell you whether they're holding an M4 or a scout right now. Ammo is a small bar fire, 5 of a scout's 10 rounds, and it shows half, so you know whether they need to reload. Armor shows how much they've got left. Info flags some extra states, things like whether they're carrying the C4 or a defuse kit. Check the panel for what it actually shows. Skeleton draws out the bones of the enemy's hitboxes. And there's off-screen arrow. When someone loops behind you and out of view, it draws a pointer at the edge of the screen for roughly which direction they're in. Next to it, the enemy bullet tracer draws the paths of the rounds. The enemy fires too. This group visualizes the aimbot and the hit process. Visualize aimbot marks the part the aimbot is currently locking. With FOV at 180 and only head ticked, it turns the head. You can already hit blue, provided you can actually land it. If you can't, it doesn't color it, so you can see right away whether this angle works. To be clear, it's only reading whether you can hit right now. There's no resolver in CS2, none of that. Backtrack chams draws where the enemy was on the server a few milliseconds ago, so you can see the old position you can still hit, split into visible in front of walls and hidden behind them. Shot chams recolors the model the instant you hit the enemy, set it to red, say, and they flash red on the hit before they drop, split into visible and hidden the same way. Enemy model works the same way as local. Visible and hidden, 2 materials, chamming the enemy's whole body. Attachments are the guns, knives, belts, and other gear on them, also split into visible and hidden. Extra holds the enemy corpse ragdolls and enemy glow. Disable animations turns off the animation on ESP elements that have one, like the health bar. I'll cover the team tab right here. It's almost 1-to-1 with this enemy set enabled. ESP, model, attachments, ragdolls, glow. Disable animations are all there, just aimed at teammates instead, so it doesn't get its own page. The world tab handles the stuff in the map. For dropped weapons, the ESP mainly shows the name and icon of guns on the ground, plus visible and hidden chams. There's also a weapon glow that, per the author's testing, seems not to work. Feel free to verify yourself. Grenades are more useful. The ESP flags how many seconds a smoke has left, plus name and icon. Proximity warning. When an enemy throws a nade at you, draws where the arc came from and how much HP it could end up doing to you, and gives you an icon heads up. Then there's Molotov radius and smoke radius, which draw the damage circle and the cover circle right on the ground, on top of the grenade's own chams and glow. Environment tweaks the mood of the map itself, and it has to be enabled first. Exposure controls overall brightness 0 is pitch dark, 100 is normal. World color tints the map textures, and that's where all those purple and blue cursed visuals come from. Fog and depth of field are some of the few that actually look decent to me. Depth of field mimics camera focus and blurs out the distance, which looks good. The rest of the coloring I just can't get into. World effects can add weather like snow and ash nice, but it costs frames. Sky color lays a filter over the sky. Skybox swaps the sky texture outright, even to the sky from a different map. Removals, strips, environment effects like shadows. Last is bomb. The C4's ESP info, visible and hidden chams plus glow, and that wraps the visuals chapter. This episode took a very long time to make, start to finish. If you enjoy patient, detailed, long-form tutorials like this, do like, share, follow, and drop a coin. Thanks for watching.